Welcome back to Growing with the Greens. Hey, so we want to thank all of you guys for coming back to us. Every time we do another episode, it is like, gratefulness that we come back with. That the last episode did well. We had my mother on,
Mama Cindy.
Yeah. Yes. She came in and dropped a lot of little nuggets for us.
Yeah, definitely.
And so we just want to appreciate her for coming out. She was scared to come on.
She was, and she's just so good at conversing and having communication with us and talking about so many things and dropping so many gems, like you said. But when you're in this kind of screen and you start talking, you start second guessing yourself a little bit. But then you see it play out, and you're just like, you dropped a lot of good stuff.
That was
there.
Some good stuff. Just going back and getting feedback from other viewers and stuff.
Yes.
So we definitely appreciate her for coming on last episode and giving us all of that, telling us her experiences through building, healthy relationships and her and I relationship.
Yeah,
that we
and
have
how
built.
It's transpired and growth in general, which brings us to this month, April, new month,
new beginnings, new season.
I really love this month. I love the start of spring. I really enjoy the weather. It just brings forward a new, renewed type of feeling.
Oh, for sure.
Daylight savings comes out, so you tend to want to do more stuff after work. So it's just a good feeling all around.
That's true. Besides the pollen, I hate pollen. We have horrible allergies, but it does. Even the pollen symbolizes the beginning of something.
Yeah,
you know
definitely.
what I'm saying? So,
seeing the trees,
starting to blossom a little bit, and
absolutely.
So the pollen is the only downfall of the spring season. Everything else is new beginning, but like I say, even the pollen translated to newness, because we wouldn't have pollen if something wasn't blossoming.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Hold on, wait. Is that? I don't know. Am I?
Because what blossoms is what brings the pollen into the air. So.
I was right.
You were right.
Of course. But so that takes us into kind of our topic of discussion today, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
Right, because we've been talking a lot about. Started off with building healthy relationships, and a lot of that starts with ourselves first, and then we were talking about bringing other people and how you create boundaries for other people and things in that sort. But the newness of this season definitely makes us want to kind of turn back into ourselves and think about the growth that is happening and that has happened since we've even beginning of this journey for us. So
we're in this new space in our lives, right? And much like we talk about our great relationship and how it has grown, but people don't really see the insides of it and the challenges that come to play. I think that same speaks for our life, right? When we're trying to get into new journeys of our life and we're stepping into them, and people from the outside are kind of seeing and saying, wow, look at you go. Look at you get your license. Look at you elevate here and there. But I mean, there's struggles that come to play when it comes to that.
Say that
and
for sure.
It's really good, like you mentioned, looking inward and seeing, wow, I have grown from this space of challenges to now where I am, but I'm still continuing to grow and elevate, and what has helped me through this journey. So I think that's a great topic for this month, is a renewed beginning. And much like Maya Angelou's quote that I put up the other day, people love to admire the butterfly but not the challenges that it went through to become such beauty, right? So,
and that post really resonated, because like you said, the butterfly is a beautiful thing. We we inspire to be a butterfly, to be able to float, and to be beautiful and just show that transformation that had happened.
Right.
But what about during the time that you're in the cocoon?
Yeah.
So if we think about, the life cycle of a caterpillar, that caterpillar is not cute. It's hairy. It's on the ground. It's struggling.
It's bristling You know, I don't know what exactly is, but like when it gets into that, it's not a pretty sight.
It's not pretty at all. So I definitely feel like right now I'm in my cocoon stage.
Ooh, okay.
You know, I'm in this stage right now where I'm no longer like, you know, crawling on my belly trying to get to, you know, the next thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I've reached the next thing, and now I've come to a point where I've eaten a lot of good stuff. I've ingested a lot of goodness to learn about myself, to be a better person inwardly and outwardly. That now is that time that is that cocoon phase for me in my life right now.
Ooh, okay. So I guess this brings up like one of the first questions that really help us reflect in this is through your transformation, right? Through this journey that you're noticing, or even if it's now or maybe a past journey of yourself, like looking at it and seeing like you knew you were transforming, but it didn't look so pretty. Can you talk a little bit more about the challenges that you've noticed throughout that transformation?
Well, you know, I personally feel like I've transformed many times already. You know, I just turned 40 this February. 40 club. Hey. But, you know, besides turning 40, I feel like I have gone through this cycle of transformation. I don't want to say a lot, but numerous times within this life, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Of course that makes sense, right? So I don't think I could pinpoint a specific time because every time has been a difficult time of transformation for myself. So that's why it's kind of hard to pinpoint, because I'm a person that doesn't like change.
Right.
Change physically hurts me. You know, it feels like it physically hurts me in a way, because I always fight with myself, because I want the growth. I pray for the growth. I move forward, you know, trying to achieve the growth. But then the other side of me is like, it's so comfortable not growing.
Oh, this bubble of comfort of us knowing what to expect versus
I've always been a very aware person. So it's like I'm aware, and I've always wanted to be greater than what I have been. And growing up as a kid, just having the parents that I had also, I always had unspoken I guess what is it called? Expectations. So because of the unspoken expectations, I've always been harder on myself to transform to the person that I thought that I should be. So, you know, to wrap all of that up, as I spoke, I guess I can say a specific time of that I've experienced transformation that was hard for me was moving to Virginia.
That is so crazy you mentioned that, because that's exactly my thoughts exactly. But I want to hear from you. What about it was hard for you?
Well, for one, when we moved to Virginia, I had just lost my brother. So, you know, for some of you that don't know, I have an older brother, Clifton, may he rest in peace, had sickle cell anemia. So in 2019, when we moved out here, we were thinking about moving, you know, and he passed away. But that didn't defer me from what I wanted to do. But it was hard because I made a home in Connecticut.
For sure.
Like all of my friends are there. Most of my family is in Connecticut. My mother was in Connecticut. My best friend was in Connecticut. So I feel like pulling myself out of the realm of comfortability, which is my friend, my family, and my career. I had a great career. My community was there, but it was something that I felt like I needed to do for myself. It wasn't for anybody else. It was an internal thing of like, I needed to start fresh outside of my community in order to feel fulfilled. Because a lot of times, like, you can feel like you're doing the best that you can, but it's the best for someone else.
Right.
Or it's the best for the situation or the community that you're in, because you're so comfortable in it. But there was a pivotal time in my life after my brother passed away that I just knew that I wanted to be released from, I guess, my norm, and to step out and try something different. Yeah. And it hurt because once I got out here, like my best friend and I, because of the, I guess, the distance, like we were together 24/7, and then it went to just talking to each other. Then it went to texting to each other. So that was a painful time for me of trying to readjust certain relationships that I had. Right. You know, because when you're present with someone, it's easier for you. Yes. Right. So when you take yourself away from it, it's like, dang, how do you keep that? You know? Right. So that's something I was dealing with. Being in a new environment was something I had to deal with. Like reinventing who Janae was by herself. Yeah. And that was a pivotal time for me. You know, and it was hard. It was really hard just trying to navigate life. Time.
The uncomfortability that comes with it, the adapting to a new environment, new people, new places. I think that's similar to me too. Like when I brought that question up, that's kind of the first thing that came up to mind because Janae and I both wanted a new change for ourselves. We don't like the snow. So up north was just like too much of that for us. We wanted to just branch out and try something different, something
that's really what it was,
out of the regular norm that people would do. It's a bold move that we did, you know.
And we did it quickly. I think we moved within like 8 months.
Less than that. It was 6 months. Like 6 months. We moved in December from our place. Yeah. And then had 6 months.
And we made it happen.
Yeah, that we made it happen.
Yeah. It wasn't comfortable because even that start, we went and we moved back in with our parents.
Right. For a short period of time.
For a short period of time.
So even that was hugely uncomfortable. We were in our elements, but at the same time, we were not in the place we wanted to be with each other because we were always together as well. So that became a difficult thing. So I think one of the other parts of the uncomfortability and the adapting and adjusting is also the sacrifice. Sacrifice is a huge thing that comes to play, right? Because we have to sacrifice the time that we have together all the time and things that we used to do, right? So and a lot of that, I think, for me, what was harder for me was I've never been away from my family ever. I've never been away from my family.
That's true.
And so coming to Virginia, it was really, really hard for me because I felt alone in a sense, right? I had you and the support system of you, but it still was a big adjustment to stepping around the corner and going to my cousin's house.
Yeah, right? That's real.
My aunt's house, a barbecue every other weekend, you know, to then not having those people in your life here, right? So I think that was one of the difficult parts. And another part that I would like to say also is we moved 6-8 months before COVID happened.
Yeah.
So
we did.
Not only did we have
unknowingly,
to adjust,
of course,
to a new place, we also had to adjust how to survive throughout COVID too. So finances, it was just very challenging moment for us.
It was. But it was challenging but necessary.
Oh yeah.
It was that move for me was totally necessary. Like when I tell you what I've learned about myself within that time of moving away, there's and even from that time of moving away to now, I've still gone through that process of transformation and starting new a couple different times.
Yeah.
You know, there's a couple more times since we've moved that I, still have gone through another transformation on myself.
Wow. That time. I didn't even think about that. You know why? It feels like just yesterday we moved to Virginia, but it's actually been 6 years. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, in May it'll be 6 years.
6 years in May. And I think that just speaks to a lot of, like you mentioned, wow, I didn't even think about all the transformations we've made here in these 6 years too, and where we're at now, and such a good place in our lives where we're and I think that also comes from age too. We want to really put into perspective. Like I always thought when I was a kid, like how would I grow up to just like be interested in those type of stuff? Like those are for old people, right?
You old, girl.
But now, coming to this place, I'm like, how did I get to this place of like this was my interest before to this is my interest now to
maturity. Yes. It's not even age, because age is just a number to me. Yeah, it's definitely maturity.
Yeah, and I think, but with age comes also maturity. Sometimes,
that's why I say it's not really an age thing; it's a maturity level type of thing.
True. That's very true. Yeah. So I think at the age that we are now, like we are really have renewed ourselves a lot. We've definitely developed, and now we have like a new transformation where we're in a good place, but still evolving, still growing.
Yes. And I think that just like dinged for me, because it's different transformations every time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because like, of course, that transformation of us growing up and us taking steps on our own, gaining a new community from one community, right?
Yeah.
But since we've been here, personally, interpersonal wise, I think the work I've done on myself and those transformations have been deeper for me.
Oh, okay. Say a little bit more about that.
Well, I feel like it's been deeper because now that I feel like that I have grown up, right? I have made certain decisions to make my life what I've always seen it to be. Mm-hmm. It makes me look at, of course, with the help of therapy. Hey, shout out to my therapist. You know who you are. But yeah, so outside even of the therapy, but internally, it's like dealing with battles that I've carried with me.
Yes.
So it's no longer situational transformation that I'm going through. Mm-hmm. It's more of a interpersonal transformation that I continuously go through.
Right.
You know, like interpersonal, dealing with certain situations isn't so hard. It's more of a, how can I change myself and transform myself to be a better version of what I see, not of what anybody else may have expected out of me, but for myself.
Ooh,
so that's why I say deeper, because now I'm trying to control my peace. Now I'm trying to control like my surroundings in a harmonious way, if that makes sense. Like in an aspect of, if I look at this differently, then the experience will be different for me.
Yeah.
You know, and that is a transformation for me inwardly, because it takes a lot of work for me to slow myself down, to be a listener and not a speaker all the time.
Oh,
you know, it takes me to slow myself down, to not rush on things, but to be patient.
Yeah.
You know, so these are now the important transformations that are happening inside of my life, and that I feel like I'm still in the cocoon phase of it, because it's going to always be a continuous work. Yeah. Like I feel like my cocoon shakes, like a little piece of like wing comes out every now and then, but yet interpersonal wise, I'm going to be in that cocoon until I reach the level that I want to be at.
Yeah.
Now, around me, I'm always going to continuously go through that cycle of being a caterpillar, of being inside of that cocoon and developing my wings and being a butterfly. That's going to happen continuously around me.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But the core of me, I feel like, will be more of a cocoon, because it's always going to be an internal struggle to be better and to be where you want to be inwardly, and not situationally.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's coming off the way that you know, that I kind of feel inside, but that's kind of what it is, because we transform, you know, outwardly so often, but when you sit with yourself and really try to do that deep work, like that's where it's that cocoon phase of the struggle.
And I love the way you said, you know, inwardly, I think that self-awareness is where we start. And we say this a lot throughout our podcast, is creating that awareness of yourself. And I guess that's where you inwardly, in that cocoon, that you do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way that you also said, you mentioned harmoniously too, right? Because when I think of that, I think of, you know, a nice tune that just continues to like elevate, right?
That's what you just hit it right there. A continuous tune. Mm-hmm. Continuous, right? Yeah. Because it's going to always happen. Not saying your struggle is always going to happen, but that phase will always happen, because without the change of something, without the uncomfortability of something, is it really changing?
Right. Yeah.
Is it like, because think we're talking about spring, right? So we could go as far as a seed. Mm-hmm. You put a seed into the ground, but you need the water, the sun to do what? It has to push upward, in order for anything to happen. And when you are pushing through dirt, through struggles, through something, that growth has to be moved. Right. It's not going to be an easy, like, okay, yeah, I got through that change. You know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be some type of uncomfortability, because if there's no uncomfortability, everybody will be changing all the time. And we'll be living in a better place.
Yeah.
you know, so.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I really tell most of my clients when they come to me, and like, these things always happen to me. Like, something always happens. I'm like, yes, but that's part of the journey. Like, yeah, something will always happen, but what changes is the tools that you continue to develop throughout that challenge, right? Yeah. Maybe in the past you couldn't deal with it and it came back up, and now you have the tools to navigate it. Mm-hmm. So I think that, and I think also sacrificing a lot of maybe things that behaviors that you used to do before. So like, what are some of those behaviors, right, that you would have to sacrifice to be the best version of yourself? Even though you really liked them before, even though you were comfortable with them. I know for me, it was for sure letting go of my sleep. Yeah. Yeah. And I still love my sleep, and I shouldn't say let go of my sleep. I'm rearranging my sleep, rather. Mm-hmm. I know that I have to go to sleep early in order for me to wake up early and start my day. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think that's probably one of the things that I had to sacrifice. What about for you? What are some things that you have to sacrifice in your journey to become the best version of yourself? Ooh. Sacrifice, or maybe, I don't know, that you had to implement, perhaps, that wasn't so comfortable, wasn't so pretty, maybe.
Oh, okay. So for one, definitely the biggest thing that I had to sacrifice has been my pride. Oof. I've had to sacrifice my pride a lot. And something that I've had to implement is, I think I touched on it a little bit before, is listening and patience. Yes, yes. And I say listening and patience together because for me, a lot of times it goes hand in hand. Mm-hmm. Because I'm such a go, like, ooh, okay, let me jump in, let me do this. Because I'm impulsive. Mm-hmm. So for me to stop and be patient, to listen to what someone actually is saying completely. Yeah. Like, because I listen, right? But like, I listen to respond. Gotcha. And listening to respond is different than listening to hear the person. Yeah. So that's like what I've had to implement, is patience and listening. And I've had to take my pride out of a lot of situations, because I noticed that, and this has just been a notice that I recently, that I put my pride above a lot of things that I like would experience. Yeah. My pride would be the front driver for me. Yeah. And because of that, I feel like I was blocking everything else behind the pride. You know what I'm saying? Because the pride could be loud, the pride could be strong, the pride can be forthcoming. Yeah. So that was always the first thing. But I started to realize that once I put that pride to the side, I was able to be a little more vulnerable. Ooh. And in order to be vulnerable in situations, like, it was really showing my true self. Yeah, yeah. And showing my true self had to allow me to cut out the imposter syndrome. Right? Yeah, yeah. Because what drives being an imposter? Pride. Yeah. Because you feel like that you are not up to others people's expectations, And those people haven't even given you an expectation.
Right.
And sometimes it's like, what people?
That's the
what people, for me personally, it's always been, but what people are expecting these things of me? And I've never had an answer because there hasn't been other people. Right. It's always been me.
Yeah, so that's, interesting that you say that, in regards to what you had to let go of and how it's kind of brought you to this new place of being more vulnerable and you made a lot of sacrifices really for the win. And not really sacrifices, maybe sacrifices that you thought were sacrifices before. And now it's like, wow, I didn't even need any of that to thrive in these relationship dynamics that I'm in now, and being able to listen more. You get more out of it now than what you would if you would have continued with your pride, with your ego, right? So
it really scared me first, to be honest. But like I was saying before, like when you lead with pride and lead with ego, you don't have room for any other real emotion to come into play, because those are powerful. Like egos and pride is a very powerful thing, right? So like it scared me the first time that I was actually able to just sit back and listen fully. And just be patient with the person that I was talking to, and not try to respond to what they were saying, instantly, because I always want to make sure that I have an answer for someone, right? Or I always want to make sure I have an answer for a situation. But it was really just me sitting back, and it's like, oh wow, like I heard everything that they said, and within what they told me, they had answered the question that they had led with in the first place.
Right.
So it was like I also was able to open myself up to like a whole nother dimension. And like it may sound crazy of listening being a different dimension, but like that's something that is an important skill that everyone wants to say that they could do, but are you really doing it?
Right.
And it's uncomfortable for me to not say something sometimes. It's uncomfortable for me to be in silence a lot of times.
Right.
So
yeah, and I think with that, you letting go of pride made room for then a version of you to say, even with me listening and not having to have a response for somebody, people still value me. People still need me, right?
Yeah.
Which is what you kind of transition.
She always do this every episode, so she finds one way to therapize me. But I appreciate that. Because that was like I never thought about that before.
Yeah. And it's almost now like a breath of fresh air, even though it was hard at first, because that transition was like, ooh, are people going to be okay with me not having to say something, right? But it's it's so valued, yeah. So I mean, there's so many things that we do, right? So many things that we need to do, we have to sacrifice, but we end up having good results at the end. To wrap this up, the biggest question is, and I guess it's just a full circle, right? One of the things that I noticed that we do need to continue staying motivated through these hard challenges that we've just described, for me, I feel is community as well, and building up that community now where we're at this moment. So if I didn't have you as a support system, I have Cindy as a support system, the activities I enjoy doing, I don't think I would be able to make it. I don't think I would be able to be in the place that I am now in my growth, right?
Yeah. So that's your motivation?
My motivation, it's my people around me, the people who are cheering me on through this. My habits, right? My new habits that I put into place so that I continue to stay motivated. Or rather, not only habits, but routines, I guess. I need routines to continue staying motivated.
Yeah. I feel that. I think my biggest motivator to continue the change is really seeing my progress.
Yeah.
Like looking back at progression is a motivator for me, because I've seen what I've come from and I see where I'm at now, and that motivates me that dang, like what if I could do more? What if I continue this trend on making myself a priority to be better? What if, like, so that the motivator is my what if, because I want to see more.
So what is it tangible wise? How do you get to that place of seeing that of your growth and that being the motivator? Is it journaling? Is it reflecting? Like, what is it to kind of put you in that place?
So I think a few things I talked about before that really motivates me and makes me want to continue is really listening to music. Number one, like I have a playlist I always talk about. One day I'm gonna share that playlist.
Yes.
But definitely listening to my playlist, and I'm trying to get back into journaling, but it's really been reading, having books that I am in tune with, that can feed my soul, that I'm able to gain something from. That those are the two major things that I really do.
Oh yeah, because I think you tell me a lot. Like you want to remember these things, and you need to have them in the forefront every day to set the tone for the day. Because sometimes we'll read something, we'll forget.
Yep.
So the first thing that she does in the morning is that she does her little, reading and the audio books that she reads. It's the first thing in the morning, and I think that really helps her set the tone for the day. So I think reading, music. She puts her music on in the morning too before she goes to work. So I think I'm inspired by that too. I do a lot of that. Sometimes on my way to work, I'll listen to either a podcast or I'll put my music that I really enjoy and gets me in a good mood. And I think that's a great motivator too to set the tone. And when there's really challenges in life right now, that I really like getting to you, being able to put these type of tools in line
for sure
to help you through it. So,
oh yeah. So those are some of the things that motivate me. But like I said, those are the tangible things. Those are things that I do daily. I have a daily routine. You talked about having a routine,
right?
That also keeps me going. So
yeah, this definitely is something that we can continue evolving and talking about in different aspects as we are in a new season, in a new stage in our lives where we're growing and elevating. So
for sure.
Yeah, it's good to know what maybe some of the things that maybe you guys are doing, and it'll be good to drop it in the comments and share a little bit more, and maybe that way we can talk a little bit more about those experiences that maybe we didn't shed light to in this episode, that we can shed light as we see it in the comments. So definitely that'll be great.
Yeah. Definitely drop in, leave comments, give us that little thumbs up, hit that button down there, and really tell us what you're working on or what you have worked on. And with this being the new season and the new season of new beginnings, so what are you starting, or what have you started that you know that you want to achieve?
Yeah, and maybe what stage are you in right now? Are you in the cocoon stage? Are you in like the butterfly where you're thriving and living through all the things? Or like Janae said, are you going in and out of that cocoon as you continue to evolve and change? So thank you so much for being here today.
Yo, another one in the books.
Another one in the books.
Another one.
Thank you for the conversation, Miss Green.
Oh, of course, Mrs. Green. We always have that good conversation, know. So until next time, y'all, we want y'all to continue to thrive, to continue to grow, and stay on this journey that we are on. Not by yourself, but we're doing it together.
Yes. We're here for you. Yeah.
We're here for you. So continue to grow with the greens. Until next time. Out of here.